So you kind of answered one of my questions already. What are you doing with yourself nowadays? You're in a
Yeah, so
band.
nowadays, so yeah. So after I lived with Carrie Henderson in Paris and in London, I lived abroad. And then, we came back to Arizona. She moved to Miami. We broke up. And now I'm in Arizona, having lived abroad and really kind of wanting more culture. And so we went through New York City a few times on the road when we were out with the band. And I really loved New York City. I just love, I was just really blown away by that place. And so I wound up just packing up a box of clothes and my guitar and just moving to New York City. And so when I moved to New York City, I started programming. I used to program in high school, just little
Mhm.
DOS programs and stuff like that. But I really studied it more, and I built like a contracting system for U2. We booked U2, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, um, you know, Page and Plant from Led Zeppelin. We had a lot of pretty good acts on the roster. I worked for the booking agency that also booked Icon when we were on the road. They were called Premier Talent. And so I helped build this contracting system just with computers and stuff. And so I started just programming in New York. And so I've mostly I have a business where I just program and build teams of programmers. I love it. It pays for a bunch of guitars. I mean, I love that kind of thing. And so right now I still do work, and I keep my day job and I write songs every day. I've always written since I was like 17. I've done some stuff with some of the songs, but a lot of the songs I never really used. Even in Icon, I didn't bring them my material. I'm so a bit of a perfectionist with it, but I also really love the songs. Like, I don't really care. I'm not a known person. Nobody knows me. No one wants to see me play a bunch of songs. They'd rather hear some covers. If I had songs out there that I really worked on and I really cared about, and I really cared to craft a good album and a series of songs, things might be different. But I just love music so much, and I love playing it so much that I kept it pretty simple and pure in my eyes. I never really created what I had as a commodity or got sick of what I do. I love what I do. I play those songs all the time that I write, and they're fun for me. But with the bands, when I play out with bands, these guys asked me to join a band. They said, "Yeah, we want to play some Green Day and Blink in Arizona." I was like, "That's probably going to do pretty well in Arizona. People like that music. People like to drink beer here and listen to music. Let's do it." So we play gigs all the time. We play out pretty much every week. It's been pretty, with high frequency, and I love that. Yeah. So I sing and play guitar now. Actually, I sing, play guitar, and I play bass. Um, we lost our bass player, and we're a three-piece now. And I figured out how to just cut my signal in half, drop the other half of the signal by 2 octaves, and pump it through a bass amp. So I play guitar in most of the Green Day songs and most of the Blink songs. The bass follows the guitar, in that, Born to Be Wild stance.
Right.
And so a lot of the songs are really easy to play bass and guitar at the same time on. So that's usually what I do, is I sing and play bass and
Huh.
guitar in this band. It's fun. I love it. It's a blast. And but I still like working too. It's fun. I never had any kids, never that lucky. Um, you know, that's why I look on Steve Clifford's, decision, and he's still with his girlfriend. They're married now, of course.
Oh wow.
But
Okay.
he's still with the same woman. So the woman that he left the band to be with, they're still together. A few kids. The kids are cool. They're all grown up and have fam. They're getting married and stuff, and they're getting ready to have kids of their own and stuff like that. So he made the right decision. Overall, you got to just at some point you got to go with your heart. And I think that was smart for him to do. I still wish he would have hung in and tried to do both. Really, a really important, probably one of the last points that's important, is that these guys, the reason they were so heads and tails above all the other bands when I first saw them was that they practiced a lot. They really practiced their music and honed their craft of songwriting and made it their own. And you're in this vacuum where you don't have access to other bands you just see things in Hit Parade or in Circus and whatever, you hear them on the radio, but you don't really have access to a lot of bands, and there's no internet. So we only heard everything that was happening locally. So when you'd see Icon, they'd been together since they were kids, really since they were in grade school and high school. They started forming bands like the
Yeah.
Schoolboys and stuff like that. And so they had done it so long by the time Steve left. I mean, he must have been in the band like 15 years. It's like a lifetime. So when he
Yeah.
left, he at least had, 11, 15 years, something like that in the band. And so it was I'm sure it was a pretty important decision. And he didn't weigh it lightly. But these days, they're all back together, by the way, all five of them.
I'll get to that.
That's
Yeah.
another good point. That's another good point is that, Steve invited me to his Christmas party last year, which was amazing. I think John got me in. John probably, said, "Hey, Steve, Drew's cool. You should invite him to your party." So nice of him. I really hadn't spoken with Clifford much before that party, but he took the time out of like 100-person party, 150-person party. He was talking to me for some of it, just taking time because I was asking him all these questions about the band. And it was really cool of him to do that. And so he's singing with them again. I've heard some of the music and I really like it. And we want to get it out there because the fans are just rabid. They're like, these guys aren't going to do jack squat, and everyone's pissed about it. It's, they owe us, and everyone every now and then is like, they don't owe anyone. And they're like, no, but they owe us, and everyone's so hell bent, which I understand. It's been like 40 years since we've heard music from these five. And so Clifford's singing again. Tracy Wallach doesn't live in state, so he flies in to do the bass parts. Pat Dixon on drums is in LA and flies in to do the drum parts. Danny's local and John's local. And Dan and John live together. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're putting the band back together. So I'm going
cool.
to visit them in the studio pretty soon. Like, after I get rid of this cough and all that, I'm going to visit them in the studio pretty soon. I'm excited to hear what they've got. And, I'm egging them to put a song together that we could put out there because people really want to hear the new music,
Right.
and of course, everyone wants to know if it sounds just like the first two albums.
Right.
They're like, please, God, it sound like the first two albums. It's funny.
That's probably pretty tough to go back to the first two albums just because of just the circumstances of their lives and equipment that you're using to record it. It's probably not going to be quite sonically the same, but hopefully the vibe and the attitude will be similar.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. And what I heard was definitely, good icon quality songs. I liked what they played me a couple snippets, and that was pretty cool. And they have families now. It's different priorities.
Yeah.
So that's why it's just taken so long to put it together. They want to put something out that they'll be proud of. It takes time.
I guess my last question is, I noticed that you're the moderator on the Icon Facebook page. How did that come to be? Did you start the page, or did someone just kind of you as moderator? Or
yeah, a guy named Stefan started the page, I think 2008, maybe, or no, or wait, was Facebook around? That was 2012. So maybe it was 2000, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that. But anyway, he started the page, and I just remember like a fan telling me about it, and he's like, "There's a whole page for Icon." I was like, "You're kidding!" And there were only like, I think there were only like 200 members or something, something like that when I joined, or it was pretty small. I think is it up to like 4,000? It might be up to like 4,000 now. Like it's just it kept growing and growing. And
yeah, I don't know the number.
Anyway, yeah. So I asked Stefan. I said, because I noticed that every now and then porn was making it through, and people were getting really pissed off. They were getting really angry. And I noticed that he just didn't have a lot of time to moderate it anymore. So I said, would you like help moderating this page? I would love to help you. And he said, oh yeah, totally. And he was really cool about it. And he was gassed that people were, liking the page and still listening. And he's a musician as well. He's got his own band and everything. And so, yeah, he's in Europe and I'm here in the States. And so between the two of us, we just try to, we put controls on it so that people can't post porn anymore. So we have to, when people first make comments, we have to approve it. And then once they've been approved to make comments, then they can just make comments. And then also, when people join, we have to approve they're joining, because some of the accounts are, of course, fake, and they're just looking to, proliferate, whatever their agenda. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have to moderate some of that. So yeah, it's fun to see people joining and appreciating the band. It's a blast. And I mean, I'm a fan myself, so I love.
Yeah. You're like the biggest fan. I mean, you lived the ultimate fan experience. You're like, was it the Rockstar movie where you were a big fan of the band, and then all of a sudden you're in it, and you get to perform with these people, and now you're still friends with them, it sounds like. And
yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I saw that movie with Mark Wahlberg, and you're right. I was like, oh my God, I lived that. It's so true. was really fun. It was a blast. I mean, it certainly was life-changing. Um, Before I got in the band, I was like, please, please, I won't ask for anything more ever. And I don't think I have. I think that was at 19. I think I spent my one wish, to
You
the
got your one
universe,
wish,
and
and then that's it. That
I got my
you
one
were
wish. I was so happy. And
that
I
is
really
awesome.
worked, I really did work for it though at the same time. I'll never forget like wood shedding so hard on guitar and playing for hours and hours and hours and getting all those songs down. But oh my God, when I got the gig, I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. And I
Yeah,
mean, I think my first realization that I was like part of the band was when, and a really interesting thing about bands is that, when you go to see them, any band, you're there, they're playing other songs, you're excited, the artist is about to come out and they kill the lights, right? And in that moment, when they kill the lights, you have this burning energy inside you, which just makes your heart want to jump out of your body. And you're like, yes, it's an
yeah,
amazing moment. And I never realized that when you're in the band, when they kill the lights, in that moment, you are absolutely unified with that energy. That
yeah,
energy is so palpable and so strong that you're one. You're all one. There's no delineation between band member and fan. There isn't. Everyone's the same in that moment. And you're all in anticipation of sharing energy. And so to be on that stage with Arlo, the roadie, who's now a friend, but I looked up to all those guys and I watched even the roadies help the band all those years. Arlo would be running around with the flashlight, pointing them to the ramp. Each member as they joined the stage was like, yes, go Arlo. I was like so excited. Once I was in the band, Arlo was doing that for me. And I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Arlo's right there and the fans are right there. And I'm a fan, but yet somehow we're playing this music. It was just surreal. It was
yeah,
it was a very wild epitome to or not epitome, but epiphany rather. It was like an epiphany of wow, this is what it's like to combine all that energy of being a fan and also being in a band. So it was really fun to see that
yeah.
happen.
A lot of times I judge a band from that first couple of minutes of, how do they deal with that anticipation? Do they squander it or do they use it? Like my very first
Right.
show ever was Def Leppard Hysteria. I don't
I
know
was
if you
just
saw
about
that.
to say, welcome to my show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
welcome
ramp.
to my
And then yeah, so I
show.
saw that once, and then I saw them do an Adrenalize, and they did the same show, and they started it. It was really crazy because I kind of knew what was going to happen, but they started. I don't know if you know the song "Coma" by Guns N' Roses. It's like a 10-minute long song.
I don't know that
It's a
song.
really
Okay.
good song. I think it's in the same vein of November Rain and
I was
Estranged.
gonna say if it's on that album, I probably heard it, but I don't know it by name.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a long song, and it's basically about this guy being in a coma, right? And he's going through all of this. It's amazing. I listen to it sometimes. It's amazing. It goes through all these musical interludes and all that, but there's a heartbeat is the drum beat basically, and so when the song ends, you hear the heart, the monitor go beep at the end, like he dies or something like that.
That
But
line.
then
Yeah.
but then the lights go out and you start hearing that, and
The
then all of a
beat
sudden,
again.
"Are You Excitable?" The song "Excitable" with that
Yep.
beginning. They start doing
Yeah.
that, and then you hear, "Welcome to my show," the stage fright,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Oh wow, that is just to have that kind of
Yeah.
anticipation for a show is just it's remarkable." And then I've been to shows like my wife was really into country. I'm not a big country person. I learned to tolerate country with my wife then girlfriend,
All
and
right.
we went to
That's
a
cool.
George
Yeah.
Strait concert,
Sure.
and
Okay.
he did something like
Song.
that,
Okay.
this big anticipation thing, and then all of a sudden it looked like this was the moment he was going to come out and just wow us. And then the lights just came back on, and it played like a commercial for Nokia, and I was like,
Such a
"What did I
anticlimactic
just
moment.
miss here?"
Yeah.
So that is like my favorite part of every concert is that
Yeah.
anticipation for the main band mainly. I know opening bands can't really do too much with the anticipation, but the
Right.
main band, when Bon Jovi comes out, when Skid Row comes out,
Yeah.
when they gotta milk that.
Aerosmith. Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta milk
Yeah,
that
totally.
because
Yeah. Kiss. Yeah,
yeah,
Kiss, all of them. Yeah.
it's
It's funny
Motley
though when
Crue.
you said that. Yeah, when you said that, when you're like, yeah, the opening moment, as soon as you said that, it's funny. I really pictured that, them drop in hysteria, them dropping the,
Yeah,
the initial, panel or whatever,
The curtains, yeah.
curtain, the curtain. And so, and they're like, I said, welcome to my show, and it goes down, 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 down,
Yeah.
down, 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 down. It's just,
And they're
it's
still
so
playing and the
iconic
curtain's
that
still up. And it was just like,
yeah,
and during that entire time, you're like, just drop the curtain already.
right, exactly.
So, and
It's
then they
like,
finally
and
drop it.
then
It's
and
just
then
like,
they sing a little bit, and then they drop the curtain, and they all jump out. It's like, oh,
yeah,
that's incredible. Yeah.
yeah,
And
that
Iron Maiden, same thing with their stage. Judas
I
Priest,
still have not seen
Judas
Iron
Priest
Maiden.
with coming on stage with the Harley and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just so funny.
Well, I appreciate you talking to me. This was
Yeah,
I wasn't sure what was going to happen because sometimes people can tell stories. Sometimes people are just like yes, no, and it's just like, well,
right.
that was a 5 minute interview. Um, but
Yeah,
I
I'm pretty
appreciate
wordy.
all your stories, and I know you said that they're all intermingled and twisty and all that, but it
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of a Norm Macdonald joke. He'll start it the joke and then he'll tell this long, long story, and then the joke, which is
right,
normally be like 2 lines, turns into a
right,
10-minute story until you get to the punchline. You're like, could have told that a long time ago, but
right.
so
Exactly.
so when you said that,
It's
I
so,
thought of Norm
and that's the
Macdonald.
thing. You're right. He's got this Andy Kaufman-esque kind of
Yeah,
approach where, like, Andy Kaufman, it was the meta. He's playing with the fact that how long can I get them to listen or be entertained?
yeah,
It's really funny when he does that. And it is also true for me that I look at those things kind of linearly and figure out, like what decisions led to what part and how it kind of flowed together. Because I do like to look at things holistically. Like, and I think it's important to. Otherwise, you get pissed at Steve Clifford for leaving and you don't know why he left and everyone's upset. And, that was the destruction of the band and destruction of all the music in Arizona. It feels that way, but you can also see why he made those decisions.
it sounds like it's all water under the bridge now. They're all back together, trying to put something out
Yeah,
and
that's what's nice. Exactly. It's
get
cool.
together for the
Yeah, I don't know
fans.
that they'll ever play live because they're not really at a place where they're all even in the same place where they could practice and play live. But who knows? I
Right.
mean, if they ever put an album out, maybe they would do like an album release party or something where they play a few songs. That might be kind of cool, if they did something like that. But I'm excited whatever they do. I'm excited to learn about what they've been doing more and hear some of the tunes, in person.
Well, they could do like a Woodstock kind of thing, get all the Icon fans to come to you, and come to this huge show with all the band, and maybe bring some of the other members who've been in the band, like yourself and
Yeah,
Jerry, make a
yeah,
take a moment to acknowledge you all, and
that'd be
I think
fun.
that'd be an awesome show. And I bet just judging from what I've read on Facebook, a lot of your fans would come for something like that.
I think the fans would. Yeah, I would, even if I wasn't in the band and I was still a fan, I would fly to see that. I
Yeah,
mean, and plus a lot of us are older now, and so we have more resources. We can fly and stuff. And
that's
so
right.
I think you're right. It's like it might be cool. It might be cool to have like, album release party or whatever where, you offer a chance to maybe even meet the band or whatever. That would, I think that'd be fun. I think they should do that. So we'll have to see what they have in store musically first, but I'm excited to find out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
John
before
has a studio now. And so he's the one
uh
that's recording, by the way. Yes. Yeah. So John Aquilino is actually the one who's, kind of playing producer right now and getting everybody's parts on tape, and, and
okay,
on disc rather.
okay, very cool. Well, before I let you go, just a couple quick questions that don't really require, I don't think, long stories. One of the things is I looked at this album cover and I'm trying to figure out who drew this and what's the story behind it. Do you know anything about the album cover?
Yeah, I think the same guy that drew some of the other album art, and it might even be the guy that drew the icon logo. I don't I don't remember exactly, but it's somebody who did some of the artwork for the band and some of
Okay.
the larger placards and whatever, and banners and stuff that they had at the time. I think he did, some of that work, and they just really liked it. And I don't know who it is. I think it's just a random woman. It's very much like the art from the 80s that was
Yeah,
very popular. If you remember, it was on a lot of our walls. I forget what that's called, the artist, but it's kind of like that art. He had a very similar style, I would say.
yeah, it definitely looked like an 80s band art, but I was just trying to figure out what's the story behind it. Because
Yeah,
this
and I don't know if
got another
it's
woman
patterned
who's
after a
hiding.
woman he knew or a friend of his or whoever she
Yeah,
is, but But definitely we had bullets. Danny and John used to shoot guns a lot. They would go out in the desert and shoot guns and kind of,
Uh,
they enjoyed that kind of thing. And so, there was always like, of course, strands of ammo around them, in their outfits and stuff like that as part of the outfit. Bullets were always a plenty, or plentiful in the way they dressed up and all that. So we had these icon bullets when we went on tour, and so they kind of had some of that imagery in that album cover as well.
Okay.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I remember asking on Facebook, what's the theme to this? I mean, is there a theme to all the CDs? And someone's like, well, there's bullets on all of them. I was like, okay, well, fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
There's bullets on all of
Under
them.
my gun, it's like,
Yeah.
take another shot at my heart. I mean, it's all, kind of the gun themes.
And then the last question I have, we probably won't post this question because I was just curious, do you have pictures and or videos that you might be able to share with me that I could use on the video
On the video.
for my
Let's see.
videos?
I think I have some pictures here and there. I can send you some pictures for sure, and feel
That
free
would
to
be
use
great. Like if
whatever.
you have
Yeah.
like video or pictures of when you were in the band,
Yeah, I don't
snapshot,
have video. Yeah,
promo. Oh, no
the one
video.
thing I don't have is video because we didn't have any cameras back then. No one had phones
Yeah,
that had cameras in them, which is a shame because it's like, I really wish we did. It would be really cool to see that show that we played with Bon Jovi.
yeah,
Danny Zalisco does have video of us where we played the biggest show I played with him with Ted Nugent at opening for Ted Nugent at Oktoberfest. But I don't know where that video is. And Danny was like, oh, it would be really hard to find. But I really wish I could
yeah.
have seen that video. That would have been really cool to see. But definitely there's a little bit of video before I joined the band, in their different
Yeah, I've seen the
incarnations.
videos that they're on YouTube and all that. And okay, and then I think I saw an interview on Headbangers Ball. Was that you and Dan?
No, it was Jerry and Dan.
It was Jerry. Okay.
Yeah,
I was trying to remember who it was that was with Dan, and I thought
yeah,
maybe it was you, but it was Jerry. Okay, that makes sense to
that
have
was
the
Jerry.
singer there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
So
cool.
yeah, if you have any pictures that you can show me, or you can send me, like any promo pictures, any snapshots,
Sure.
because I have 2 hours of
Yeah,
video now that I got to cover with things.
I know.
I
And
got
feel free to edit it down to like 15 minutes if you want,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so long-winded. Just
There's
be
a lot
like,
of good stuff.
yeah, okay.
So that's what I was saying. I'm going to probably use some of your clips for the actual album review, but I also
Cool.
just for the fans, I figured I would just put pretty much the whole interview out there for them so they can hear what you had to say about everything.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
so
I'm
I
fine with
think
that.
they'll have a good time at least listening to that, and it'll give them hopefully new hope that there's a new album coming out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're like, it's legit.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to listening to that and maybe even listening to some of the old stuff since that's the higher
Yeah.
quality stuff. And
First two albums.
yeah,
And that third album, hard to find, but a really good gem if you
yeah, I
find
need
it.
to find that somewhere. But someone said I just scored it. It only cost me $50, and I'm like, $50?
I know they're hard to find.
Yeah, I'm imagine with only so
Yeah,
many,
it's
but they re-released it or something like that too, right? So on CD.
I think they did. Yeah, I think they re-released it
Just
on CD and
they
limited
originally went
copies,
on
of
tape.
course, because they market. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I might even have one of those CDs somewhere in my collection. I'll have to look for it because I want to hear the Eyes of a Prisoner song. Oh, I love that song.
I appreciate you doing this for me. And the last thing
Absolutely, yeah.
before I say goodbye is you've actually got me thinking because there's another idea I'd like to do for this channel is to go like behind the scenes with cover bands. I always thought
Right,
that would be fun to kind of talk to cover bands and see why they're in a cover band. Like why are you covering Motley Crue? Why are you covering Skid Row? Why are
right,
you covering Green Day and Blink 182 or whatever?
right.
And what's behind that? And is this music you dig, or is this music that you just doing it for a
Right.
page or just having fun or something like that? So I always thought it might be fun to
Yeah,
just follow
it's a good idea.
bands, get
Yeah.
the cover.
There's a band called Metalhead here in Arizona. If you can talk to those guys, they do it well. They're a really good cover band. Yeah. Metalhead is they do all of that. They do Skid Row, Bon Jovi, Aerosmith.
Mhm.
They'll do they do a couple songs from Van Halen. I mean, and they do them so well. Like they're really, really good.
Yeah. there's
Yeah, it's
bands
great.
here in the Dallas area. I'm kind of kicking myself for missing it because they were here on my birthday, but it was a Def Legend with opening band Rockin'.
Oh,
And
that's
so I was
funny.
like, that would have been a fun show to catch, but I just
That's funny.
I just couldn't do it. But and then there's Petty Theft for Tom Petty. There's like bands,
Nice.
like your band, but there's like just singular one band that they're covering.
Right.
And I need
Yeah,
to
like the
catch
song
that show.
remains the same and stuff like that.
Yeah. But
Band
anyway, so
remains the
thank you so much for doing this for me. I appreciate your time. I'm glad you enjoyed it
You too,
because
Chris. Yeah,
this is my first
absolutely.
interview ever.
Cool.
Uh,
Okay, well, you did great. Yeah, it's really
this
fun
is your
reminiscing
first
also.
interview.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I haven't been interviewed
So
before. Like, this is awesome.
so one of the things we're both going to learn is how to cut things short a little bit.
Exactly.
Try to,
Exactly.
cut it down to time. But I'm going to have a good time with this, and I
Cool.
hope you've given me some energy to get back on the horse and try to work on this and try to put it
Awesome.
together. And hopefully this will be put together within the next month or so. So
That sounds great. Awesome.
thank you so much, and you have yourself a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you later, hopefully.
Sounds great. Yeah, thanks, Chris.